In my video, Country Names If They Were Honest, I said that India is an oligarchy of the high castes who oppress the low caste Dalits or untouchables, which offended this guy, who said, "There is no Hindu oligarchy or untouchability in India. In fact, there never was a caste system in India before Mughal or British colonization. Caste is a Portuguese word for race, lineage, tribe or breed, and the original Vedic terminology is talent system. Hinduism, etc. are of the eternal way of life." So the Dalits raped by Hindus don't exist, right? And the maids Saudis beat excessively also don't exist. Let them have the same privileges to deny reality you have. He said that caste is a Portuguese word. That's a red herring fallacy. India is an English word, so India must not exist. I did a video debating a Hindu already, proving his religion wrong. I love Sanskrit, Hindi, and I like Tamil though. Some Bollywood songs are great. What your government claims that all Indians are equal is just an ideal and false advertising. If that were true, then North Korea is truly democratic because they say so. Dalit women raped. You think they're all acting? No, they don't exist because Dalits are Hindus. Now he's splitting hairs because it doesn't matter that Dalits are Hindus. They still exist. Like everyone else on the planet, they are remnants of once great empires or kingdoms that fell throughout history. The only thing keeping... Wait a minute. Not all poor people in India in that caste were from invaders. A lot of them are just native Indians who are poor. Most Indians are poor, including the natives. So you can't say they were just invaders and they deserved it because they invaded the natives and they oppressed the natives. No. A lot of them were just natives. Are just natives. The only thing keeping them oppressed is their own isolationist mindset and abuse of minority privileges. So what he's saying is that the victims are to blame, and he's ignoring the fact that his people oppress them because he's a rich guy, and it is difficult for someone who is warm to understand someone who is cold. There's a saying I read once. A Saudi beating a Muslim maid has nothing to do with India. India was colonized by Islamic Mongols converts, not Arabs. The Mongols got bred out, but the religion stayed. It's also why the Arabs say Indian Mus are not real Mus. Indica is an ancient Greek word, Hindu is Persian, India is an English word. All these words refers to the Sindhu River and the words translating to the land beyond that river. However, the real name is Bharat, named after this king. The government is advocating programs to remove the deep scars left by Mughal and let's blame the Mughals and the British for everything. Let's never take responsibility for our own actions and our own religion, which says it's their fault they were born poor because of bad karma. Westerners lack knowledge on India. It's not surprising, but you talking like a woke libtard from India is. Now, as you notice, he insulted me as a libtard. I can take this because, I mean, I'm not that offended, but it is an insult. Later on he says that I started insulting, but he lied. Blah, blah, blah. And then he told me to see this video of mainstream history of India, which is superficial and boring. I said, Google images. I type in Dalit woman raped. You're saying they're all acting? You're ignoring many cases of rape by Hindus against low-caste women. Hinduism's reincarnation doctrine mixed with the karma doctrine creates the caste system inextricably, because if you are born to a certain level based on your morality level in a previous life, then you would get what you deserve, which leads to other Hindus seeing that you deserve it. And if you deserve it, then they would treat you as deserving of it. Hinduism justifies rape. After all, if you're raped, it's because you deserve it. If you are so susceptible that you can be raped and the rich Indians can get away with it, or even middle class, which is low-level rich, you must have deserved it. You don't hear about a caste system in most countries but India, because India is Hindu is why. Hinduism is the elephant in the room. Hinduism is the root of the problem. You don't need to read the Quran to know Islam is wrong, right? I don't need to be as knowledgeable on Hinduism as Indians to know Hinduism is wrong. Quality over quantity of information. The aforementioned argument is enough to prove your religion is a scam, to keep the rich on top saying they must have deserved it. Are you poor or rich? And here I proved that the Bible is right, by the way. The Bible prophesied that back in the days of the Babylonian Empire in deep antiquity that Europe, which at the time was irrelevant and poor and pathetic and small, would conquer the entire world. So I said, do your Hindu scriptures have anything like this? The most they could predict is that the Ganges would smell bad if you toss corpses inside. Why do Hindus treat their country like shit? Because when everything is holy, nothing is holy, except cows, which have more rights than humans yonder. He didn't challenge this. He didn't challenge this later. Hindus are known to murder cow sellers for consumption of that beef. Not all Hindus, but some is way too many. The Indian government is run by devil worshippers just like all others. Now, here is some evidence of Indians killing people because the people eat food. And so, since that food was a living thing, they kill them. The Indian government said that Europeans like the Portuguese brought in masonry, originally Templars. That is the shadow government pulling the strings in India. India is never free. But I'm glad Hitler bankrupted the British Empire to free it to an extent. And here I proved that Masons rule the world, including every corporation and country. I also did that in my series on the overrated British Empire, which proves that the Spanish Empire was bigger, by the way. But dumb hypocrites count oceans, don't count oceans, but they count deserts, and say, oh, there's not enough people in oceans. Well, there's not enough people in deserts. Yeah, you count those, hypocrites. In most deserts. Anyway, India is in relation to the native name of that river, as you said, but it's still an English word with a Eurocentric perspective, since the westernmost part of India, with the Indus River, is the one that had most contact with Europe ever since Alexander. If my people took over India instead of the degenerate drug-dealing racist Brits, Hinduism would have been abolished, just like other satanic religions involving human sacrifice and cannibalism. Agori Hindus are tolerated by your government. There's something deeply wrong with your society, because those Hindus eat human flesh. They don't necessarily kill the people to eat them, but they eat human flesh, which is revolting. As a Spaniard, I say the same about Spain. It's poisoned with liberalism like India. Poor India, always corrupted by crappy beliefs. By the way, free Sikkim, which Indians invaded, and under the shadow of Indian soldiers with guns, people had to vote correctly. So the democracy there is a scam and a sham. Free Hawaii, free Ainu lands, free Lakota lands, free Tibet. Later, they had an empire what goes around, comes around. I originally laughed. The so-called Dalai Lama is a hypocrite. He doesn't care about Sikkim at that. He cares only about Tibet being independent. Yeah, he's a globalist. So much for that independence. Why would I Google something? You're cherry-picking for the sake of half-assed arguments. By your logic, I can also do the same thing as Christian men raping women and blame that Christianity is a problem. Yes, you do need to know something is wrong before knowing about it. Now, my Indian accent isn't on point all the time, but it helps to differentiate between who speaks. Otherwise, your hatred is prejudicial and your reasoning is just an irrational tantrum, just like a woke libtard. Europe never conquered the world, the English did. The English manipulated the royals to work for them, hence their half-assed empire. Also, yes, the 3300 BCE Indus Valley civilization already prophesied the 4 Yugas before Babylon even existed. More on that shit later. Ha ha ha. No, it's just the Western NGOs in China that usually try to meddle in Indian politics. But usually, it's the hardcore Indian factions that are in power. We don't keep any foreigner in power here. Actually, there was an Indo-Greek kingdom with 30 kings, Yavana, which is mostly why the northerners are light-skinned. Except there is no such thing like that in Agori. We cremate our dead for the precise reason cannibals don't eat them. The Western media sensationalized Agori for normies like you just for clicks. The Agori are a sect devoted to Lord Shiva, who cover themselves with fire ash and smoke dope all day, while funeral ash is given back to nature to complete the circle. Hindu fanatic, I noticed you ran away from some challenges. 1. You don't need to read the Quran to know Islam is wrong, right? Saying the following is equivocation, you're not clear. You said, yes, you do need to know something is wrong before knowing about it. Is this sarcasm? Otherwise, your hatred is prejudicial, blah blah blah. It's prejudice to hate injustice. Blaming people for being born poor is what your religion does. I'm right to hate that. That's stupid slander based on the assertions of self-righteous drug addict gurus who remind me that the beard does not make the sage. It's obviously a scam for the rich elite Indians to maintain their privileges. Hinduism is anti-Indian, since most Indians are poor. What other religion blames Indians just for being born? No other. Only Hinduism has the nerve. No wonder low-caste Hindus are more likely to abandon Hinduism. They realized they were misled into being exploited and oppressed by Indians like you. I care more about India than you because I defend the majority of Indians, whereas you are here for the preservation of the greedy elite. And I also asked him if he was poor or rich, but I forgot he did say that he was rich. Now, 3. Do you have any prophecy like the one in the Bible, hitting the bullseye centuries ahead of time? And he said that Hinduism prophesied 4 yugas. Now, Britannica says yuga is just an age, where the next one is shorter than the last, and that mankind keeps getting worse. That's vague as hell shit. Fail. You make Nostradamus look as precise as laser eye surgery. Also, Sumeria is older than Indian civilization. You racist Indians wish you were the center of the cosmos. You're not. Plus, age of a super vague prediction is irrelevant. Red herring fallacy. Truth is not determined by who gets their book published first. Non sequitur fallacy. Look at how pathetic it is. The Bible prophesied that Europe would conquer the world, proving that it is divine. Because man could not foretell such a thing back in the days of the Babylonian Empire, when Rome wasn't even relevant. And the best he could do to try to match that was to say that Hinduism predicted 4 ages. 4 ages. Age isn't even precise. What nonsense. Anything can be an age. It's so arbitrary. I could say in the future there will be 4 time periods. Oh, really? Well, that really narrows it down. That's pathetic. So no, Hinduism doesn't match the Bible on prophecy. Hinduism fails in prophecy. Hinduism isn't from God. Hinduism can't tell you the future like the Bible has. Indians were at the Tower of Babel like all other races, so that was Babylon, not Indian territory, although the prophecy of Daniel was later on during the Babylonian Empire. What race of Indian are you? Aryan or Dravidian? Invader or subordinate in the racist caste system of India? Whitening cream sells a lot in your country. You are empty-handed. Goes to show the Bible is the truth and not your unholy scriptures. My religion is Asian-based, by the way, not European. My religion doesn't put Europeans first. It puts Jews first. Asians are put above my people, but I accept it because it's the truth. On the other hand, your religion puts Indians first, or at least you do. And by Indians, I mean they are rich ones, but you don't care about the ones Hindu society oppresses, pretending cases of rape. Hinduism justifies, as I already explained in my earlier post, doesn't matter. You say I have a tantrum, but that's just you. I am quite calm dismantling your satanic religion. Kali is obviously a demon. Look at her belt of skulls and lunatic face with her tongue out. And look at her thug followers in history until the British cracked down on them. In the Empire State Building they put this: Kali mocking people. Destruction is coming. Destruction is coming. Big rotten apple, New York City. Thugs, cult assassins of India. Hinduism is known for its murderers and its drug addicts and its failed prophecies. Failed because, not because they're wrong per se, because yeah, you can predict that there will be a time period, but failed because that's extremely vague and pathetic, and you're not really accomplishing anything by saying that there will be time periods. Anyone can do that. So, who is the number 1 killer of Indians in India's history? Other Indians. Now, since I'm Iberian, Portugal's glory is mine too, and I'm alluding to their Inquisition, where in some cases the Portuguese would kill guys like this guy because they were murdering for Hinduism. You turn a blind eye to the proof the Bible is divine. That prophecy alone proves it, and there are more prophecies. The Bible alone perfectly explains why man is unique in the cosmos. Space there for aliens is as silly as rainbows there for leprechauns. That's the main argument for aliens, the main argument against man being unique, since we are made in the image of God. The Bible, and he doesn't challenge this later, by the way. The Bible alone perfectly explains why death exists. Same here. He doesn't challenge this later. Hinduism makes God out to be insane, always fighting himself. If all were the manifestation of the universal reality, is proof God? Part 2 later, God willing.